Paul, thanks for your time today. From a selection point of view, what do you feel is the best way to approach this final game before the playoffs this weekend?
It's a few things to consider. Obviously, players' fitness, how many games they've played, or where have they just come back from injury? Do I feel some lads need minutes if certain scenarios occur? So yeah, I've got my team in my head now, and that'll be revealed obviously Sunday. The players aren't fully aware of what that will be at this time, but obviously will be, and we'll go and try and win a game of football again. Without
necessarily naming names, I don't mind it if you do. To what extent will you ring the changes?
There will be some. How many? Like I said, I'll take the view of waiting to reveal that. But I'm not. They're going to be a team still that has got games and experience in it. But ultimately, I've got to, as I said after the game the other night, my job, I see it as giving ourselves the best chance in a playoff game, and that's not writing this game off at all, because that's every time you take to the field and you pull on the shirt and you're representing the football club, you want a bit of pride to kick in, and you also got a responsibility to the game. But at the same time, I've got to be selfish in some regards to what I feel is best for each individual player and us, most importantly, as a group, as a squad, and overall as a football club.
Luke Waterfall is back. Will you rest him or play him?
Luke's an interesting one because, as you say, he's missed a game. He has played a lot of games this season in general. He likes to be involved. So that's one that has given me perhaps a little bit more thought than some of the others.
So which way are you going to go then?
And I appreciate I haven't answered your question there.
Not for the first time, Paul. How much is it a big dilemma for you, or do you know which way you're going to go then with that one?
No, I know that, and overall, Matt, to be honest, I'm quite relatively quickly after the game the other night. We on the evening we had a chat as staff and discussed what we feel. Or I kind of gave my thoughts where I was at, and just I guess you kind of see if anyone's got any different views. So it's not just a closed door, but I think we were all pretty much on the same page. Whether that's from the fitness side or just a general having been in football, what we believe. So the decision and kind of team was pretty much fixed from Tuesday night.
How's John McAtee after his return?
Yeah, he was a little bit stiff, his groin and his shoulder a little bit. And then today he's felt a little bit under the weather initially. I think he was better once he was in and trained. So in general, he's okay. Understandably, like I said, probably a little bit of stiffness from the game, but that's probably to be expected.
Anything that would prevent him from starting on Sunday?
No, he'll be fine from that point of view.
And how much were you wincing every time he went down against Boreham Wood?
I wasn't, in truth, and I'm not because I don't care, but just more around. I don't know. I can't recall him particularly ever being in a situation that made me think about it. Hopefully, that's a good thing. I think he played well and he got the goal. As I said on the night, could have quite easily had a few more goals, but he didn't look like he'd missed too much foot. He hasn't missed loads of football, but he kind of hit the ground running from that point of view. And yeah, the injuries point of view of it, whether it was me being it was in the back of my mind, but I didn't really cross my mind on the evening.
What fresh injuries then are you carrying?
None.
Good.
None. We came through the game well. I think Jordan Cropper had felt his wrist slightly, but nothing major. He kind of told me that he could still throw the ball if I want him to. So he said that's the most important thing. I'd like to think he can kick a ball as well. So yeah, other than that was it, and that was only a very minor thing. It's the squad's where we're at. So that was a positive from the other night, as well as obviously getting the win and securing our playoff spot.
Are you giving any serious consideration to playing any of your youngsters?
Or
is now not the time?
No, they'll probably be in the squad, Matt. A couple of them, and then I guess I'll make that decision as in maybe how it's going. But I've still got a lot of pros. We said we got not a massive squad. I look at some of the others, and I sometimes think, I feel like we're carrying quite a few players, but I think with injuries that we've had, it's a good job that we have had the squad to fall back on. But I've got to, look after them and make sure, like I say, where we feel they're at, they come first, and have to be decisions made around them and their involvement first and foremost before getting to the younger players. If it was the last game of the season and that was a season ending, that's maybe a different conversation, but that's not the case.
Which couple might come into contention?
Well, Edwin Essel is injured. He did his hamstring in the last youth team game against Rotherham, so he's one that's not. The other three that have been given pro contracts will certainly travel to the game with us, and a decision will kind of be made thereafter.
Will Arjan Raikhy be returning to you?
Arj, we're hoping that'll be the case, Matt. Yeah. So fingers crossed he can come through well and be back with us, and then that'll be a decision for me to make whether or not that's back with us, go and get involved, or whether it's more, unfortunately a little bit too early. Again, there's a little bit of what happens, I guess. People have been saying, 3 games, and kind of, I guess, had to put a lot of people right that it's 1 extra game as it stands. We really hope that it is 3, but no one knows for certain, and it's still no definite end date in terms of a last game of the season. So that will come into consideration. But if there's a chance of Arj being back and being involved, I want that opportunity to be there. So yeah, that will be very much a let's see how he goes.
When will he be back with you then?
Hopefully very soon.
Ahead of the weekend?
Possibly.
Could he be involved on Sunday?
Could be.
Come on, Paul.
It'd be nice if he was. But we need, I need to check on him. It's only fair that from that point of view that he can't just say, he's fit, and then the reality is he's not going to be fit to play a full game of football. That's for sure. So we'll look at that.
Good. Okay. Quite a few fans, Paul, have been asking about James McKeown, and this after his latest absence on a match day on Tuesday. Now, I noted with interest, he said on social media that he was on a coaching course organised long before the game was rearranged. But generally speaking, he hasn't quite seemed part of it recently. How has he lost his way?
It's not a case of him losing his way from that point of view, and certainly the other night that's where James was. He's on a course which we knew about. If he'd have been in the team, obviously, then he wouldn't have been, given permission, and James wouldn't have even asked. So the other games, I think, said if it's been a game where we can't take all the players, then more of late I've chose to take Ollie Battersby to help him gain some experience being around the squad. If it's overnight, just getting used to that experience, and then what it's like on a match day.
That's why I qualify him losing his way, because here's a player of great experience. He's been at the club 10 years. He was club captain, and now suddenly he's beneath Ollie in the pecking order, it would seem. That's why I asked that question.
That's kind of yet to be certainly proven or a fact. I think, as I said, if I'm taking a goalkeeper away with me, while there's always, a possibility that Max in this instance could fall ill or fall off the coach and twist his ankle or any other sort of strange scenario. Ollie's gone more as backup from a point of view, as in we take another keeper. He's part of the warm-up. It's part of him gaining some experience. James doesn't need that experience. James has done that a million times. So that's why that's been the way it has been more recently. In terms of a pecking order, I think touch wood, don't really want to have that scenario. But if something did happen to Max, or I felt a need to that he should be dropped, then there's no saying that that's not a formality that Ollie Bats is going to go in. So I think that's hopefully explains the situation and why it's been as it is. Again, nothing more sinister the other night. He was on a coaching course. He asked if he was allowed to go, and the answer from me in the situation currently was yes.
So he could play again for you between now and the end of the season, whenever that might be.
Yeah, and admittedly at this moment in time, that's looks unlikely. But yeah, James is still at the club and still training, and he's part of the squad. I kind of get what you said, or what people have been asking, but he's still here and he is still very much part of the squad.
Can I talk to you about Andy Smith? He's done very well for you, hasn't he, since he arrived? Would you explore the option of trying to get him back next season?
I'd be open to that thought. I haven't asked the question. I've spoken to Andy briefly just about his situation as it stands, and my understanding is I don't think that that's an option.
Why not?
It's something that I think, because to my mind and what I can gather is, obviously he's under contract with Hull, and I would have thought they'd want him to go back. I think, am I right? Manager change happened after he'd been here.
Yes.
So I'm sure there's an element he would like to go in and try and impress. Again, that's perhaps a tough ask to jump to be involved on a regular basis. But at the same time, that's the way that I see it. And if he'll either be involved with Hull or perhaps loaned out again, they're the options. But I think we're a long way off of that from the point of view I would have thought they'd want to look at in pre-season. If I'm wrong, then, and there's a chance of bringing him back, then I would certainly be open to that conversation.
Well, we're almost into the summer now, aren't we? Have you made any approaches to sign any new players for next season at this stage?
No, we've got lists of players that would be of an interest. We're obviously collating the information of the players that have been released from clubs, the teams that are still involved in the playoffs. In general, won't have their list decided until their probably involvement's finished, and there's still some clubs that haven't seemingly made either had those meetings or certainly made the information public knowledge. So yeah, and our season, as in our league, yes, it's only a couple of days away, but hasn't finished yet. So I think there's a bit of time yet, and with the best will in the world, I think we would struggle to get people to sign straight away, certainly from certain sort of levels. And that's just the way that football is. You know, we, again, said this many times before, we feel that we're a good football club. We know what fans we get, we know what facilities we've got, etc. But if you just said to someone who's perhaps in the league, for example, or Greenwich Town are interested, I can imagine what the first sort of reaction would be. Well, or if they go up, I might be interested. So straight away, there's a question mark there. Our situation, in one respect, doesn't help us. But I'm quite relaxed with a lot of this, Matt. I've seen it before and been through it many times. You know, it's great if you can actually, if you're in a strong position where you feel you can have the pick of players, but I don't think that's where we're at. And there's a lot of football teams involved in our league, certainly, that will be looking at very similar players. So we'll see what happens on that front.
Good luck with it. I'm going to get this one out of the way with before too long, because obviously people will continue to talk. Padraig Amond has been released by Newport. Would you be interested in bringing him back?
My initial reaction would be no. And that's nothing against Podge. He was a fantastic player for us and helped get promoted, of course, with all those goals. I haven't heard from Podge. He's got my number. I did see that he'd been released, and you know, in true fashion, the type of player he is, the sort of kind of, I guess through social media, but sort of a statement of some kind at least, you know, showed just what he is, which is a good character. You know, take the football out of it, he's a good character, the right type. I don't know what his sort of plans are for the future, but as I said, he knows where I am if there was an interest on his part. But I think we'd have to have a lot of conversation on that.
Why would you be so unsure then about that one?
I think I just think sometimes it's not all, and I'm doing it, I'm back. Not always good to go back. You know, don't forget he's certainly a few years older. If and I've got no reason to think he won't carry on playing football, because he looks after himself pretty well as well. But he'll never forget how to score goals, that's for sure, whatever level he's at. But you know, for me, I think that probably chapter has been.
Which is fair enough. Thank you for answering it. How do you see the challenge of remaining competitive but avoiding injury in this final game of the regular season?
Sorry, Matt, just before I answer that, I thought you were going to ask me about Omar Bogle next.
No, there's still time. We've got the whole summer to come back to that one. Let's talk about this Eastleigh match. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, as I think touched on maybe in the first question, an element of pride. We've also got a very big game to come, as I said, and I'm going to use it as one big game initially. And if I'm a player, I'm doing all I can to say, you either don't drop me, or you need to seriously think about playing me, or probably last of that, put me at least in the match day squad. I think I really struggle, and again, I understand not everyone's the same, but if it's on the training pitch, even if I'm being asked to take part in a game of some kind, I want to win, and I 100%. I don't want whether it's the immediate opponent, if it's, I don't know, for my position at a winger, or the opposition as a whole, the team, to get the better of me. That eats away at me. I want players to certainly have that sort of competitive edge and feelings. That's what we try to bring to the football club. Admittedly, some lads are different than others, but more than anything, like I said, our season doesn't finish, so it's not like get this game out of the way, then I'm on my holidays. Far from it. And if that doesn't, no matter where you think you're at in terms of my thoughts, I suppose, if you get a share at the weekend, then go and impress, go and do something. And even then, it might be for another team watching. I try and stress this to the players. You know that I go and watch games, and we watch so much football. I might have seen a player once, and then and if he shows any kind of bad attitude, then that's so hard for me to think any other way. And I think that's what I try and stress to our players. There's always someone watching. I guarantee you there'll be someone watching that you wouldn't even dream about that might somehow have an influence in your future career. And that's, for me, the biggest thing is just personal pride and professional pride. So I'm expecting the team and individuals within the team to go out and try and win the game, Matt. And like I said, if I'm an attacking player, I want to score a goal. I want to create a goal. If I'm a defender, I want a clean sheet. And that's irrespective of whether I've played all season, whether I've been given an opportunity. Go and show that you're a good player, and you give yourself every chance to be involved in this first playoff game.